Hey everybody, welcome to Hearthstone for Noobs. This is match 2 of the second Tourneys for Noobs, and it's Stonerino, that's me, versus TheMightyOwl. I'm taking my mage deck to battle here, and it's not a typical mage in many ways. It's kind of like a tempo mage, but it's a bit more of a spell damage mage. I've got the Flame Wakers and whatnot, but yeah. And now we have TheMightyOwl, and he's playing Warlock, and last night after we had a little match, he threatened me with Handlock today. So we'll see if this is actually the Handlock Warlock that he was talking about. Alright, well that card is no good to me. Not yet. But I do have one of my favorite cards to have early game when I'm playing this kind of mage, and hopefully it'll get me a little value as the game starts to progress. No turn 1. Well, that is a sure indicator of Handlock. And we'll see if he taps on turn 2 or plays an Ancient Watcher. He is tapping. Alright, well that is like 94% Handlock then. It's very unlikely that a Warlock is not going to have 2 early game plays unless he's playing anything but Handlock. So, turn 3, he has the coin. We'll see if he coins out a Drake here. And he's going to just drop an Ooze. Okay, an Ooze. Well, it's not something I can like sort of instantly deal with, but unless he's got a Mortal Coil in his hand, then my Ogre Magi should be pretty safe for the time being. I can't see him using a Dark Bomb on this. And there is a Mountain Giant, so confirmed this is most likely to be Handlock. How do we want to handle the Mountain Giant? Let's just slow him down for a second. And we got to be careful about how much damage we do to the Warlock, because we don't want to just instantly let him play 2 free Molten Giants with a Defender of Argus for 4 mana. So we're going to have to kind of manage his boards as he builds them and find like sort of small replies and chip away at him a little bit here and there until it looks like I've got enough to really move in for one big kill shot. And you want to do that before turn 9 if possible, before he gets a chance to play Jiraxxus, and it really depends now on how he develops the board. I still don't think we saw the coin, so he might be coining out the Emperor here. And you know he's going to play Sludge Belcher, and of course if this is the traditional Handlock, he's also going to have 2 heal bots. So, how best do we handle this? Well, we can actually pretty much clear everything. Watch this. Oh, that's spell damage. And that might even be worthy of a Hellfire. Look at that, I got rid of a Mountain Giant without playing a Polymorph or a Fireball or anything. We just did it with Cone of Cold and a couple of little Arcane Explosions. It would be nice to draw one of my Flame Wakers so I can start putting in like all that extra damage. And I like to play wacky decks, so I think my other deck tonight. What did I choose? I think I also picked a Warlock to bring in, and I can say now I can confirm it's Handlock. Well, yeah, there you go, it's Hellfire. So I'm going to be playing Handlock as well, but I thought I'd throw in one of my sort of specialty mages to see how that worked out. I'm going to take the Azure Drake out for a walk and draw. Okay. We can ping him here. He can't really play a Molten Giant yet. So we've pretty much controlled the game pretty well. We've seen a Mountain Giant and a Sludge Belcher. So the fact that they're gone is pretty good. This could present some problems. The Ancient Watcher. This is a target for Shadow Flame, which is the Warlock's version of Flame Strike, essentially, provided the target's big enough. And, well, we don't see a taunt yet. How do we want to play it? I think we're going to go ahead and play a Sludgy. We're going to draw. And I don't know how much trouble we're inviting in if we go face here. Let's see, he'll be at 13 health and turn 8. So that would be 2 Molten Giants and a Sun Fury Protector if he wanted. You know what, let's just get rid of this, or at least knock this Drake down a little bit here. So I don't mind him taking a piece out of the sludgy there. I think he's going to Mortal Coil it. Yep, for the rest. That's a card we didn't see yesterday in the Basics tournament. Nobody was running Mortal Coil. And I did see a couple of Warlocks. Okay, well now that Twilight Drake is pretty weak. Looks like another Mountain Giant's going to come out. What is he doing? He's got coin. And it's the Emperor. Okay. Oh, that's okay. He's going to get one turn off the Emperor. And that's about all you should normally let anybody get. If they get more than one turn, then you probably shouldn't worry too much about the Emperor. You should focus more on winning the game. But if you can kill him right away, that's probably the best option. Otherwise, the hand just gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and will really end up screwing you. Okay, empty boards on turn 9. He could definitely play one Molten here if he wanted. But he's thinking quite carefully now. He does have a cheap Jiraxis, I would guess. Getting the Jiraxis card down to 8 mana is huge, so that way when you can play it, you also get to use your hero power that turn, which is make a 6/6 Dread Infernal for 2 mana. And that's one of the real beauties of having Jiraxis and being able to play him for 8 mana, getting it cheaper from that Emperor. So there's our Molten Giant. And we're not going to see a taunt on this turn. So what do we want to do about it? I think we're just going to get rid of that real quick. And I want to draw again here. I'm not sure if it's the right decision because we're basically feeding him this Drake. But I want my hand ready to go in case I get enough damage to wipe off this Warlock. And he really can't ignore the Azure Drake right now because it's spell damage +1. So for example, if I had 2 fireballs in my hand, I'd be able to kill him just with the fireballs being worth 7 apiece. So he's going to have to heal, and he's going to have to take care of this Drake. Still thinking. I think he's maybe considering whether Jiraxis is worth it right now. Instead he goes ahead and does Loatheb and a Molten Giant, so that's just a ton of heat. Of course he gets rid of the Azure Drake, and that makes it pretty hard for me to play spells cheaply. So how do we want to approach this? Let's see how much damage he's got. He's got 8, 5, and 4. That's 9, 17, and if he goes to Jiraxis, he also gets to punch me for 3, so that's 20. I don't think he can get enough extra damage because the Handlock doesn't run. The Handlock doesn't run Power of Overwhelming. So, shall we go a little YOLO here? I think we can try. We're going to put up our Sorcerer's Apprentice, and we're going to polymorph this guy just for safety. And then we're going to hit him in the face and kind of force him to play Jiraxis and get him in even like sort of like a permanent range of being able to kill him. We still haven't seen a healbot though, so we could just dump 2 healbots on the board here and be right back up to 26 health. I think the normal play would be something like healbot and Sludge Belcher. And then he's got health, he's got a board, and he's got some taunts. We'll see if he wants to clear off my minions or if he's going to put the pressure back on me, going face. Well, the sheep looks like it's going face. Yep, face, face. And all the way face. I wonder what he's oh, he's Shadow Flame. That's how he's going to clear the board. Okay. Well, that's fine. We don't have to panic too much there. What we're going to do is play Flame Waker and play a Blizzard, freeze up his board, and ping a couple of spots here. Nice. Just get Loatheb down to 1. That'll be easy to ping off on the next turn. And there's the second Sludge Belcher. We might even see the second Healbot. And that is a Sunwalker. Okay, so we have to get the luck of the Flamewaker to hit this, I think, on this Flame Strike here. One each. That is beautiful, and we get to clear off what's left of the Sludge Belcher, and we now have the board back.
I'm sorry. My magic will tear you apart.
Alright, what's next? He definitely doesn't want to play Jiraxis now. He's got a reasonable amount of health. There you go. He's going to just plop down Sylvanas Windrunner and heal up again some more, but he is running out of cards, and let's see, how is this going to work? Go ahead and poly her. Might even get to ping her off. No, we do it to the heal bot, so we'll get rid of that way. And perhaps I should, I don't know, should I? Should we force him to play Jiraxis? Let's force him to play Jiraxis. We've seen both of his healings, so let's start pounding him down. That's going to be 6+2 from the Flamewaker. And get him back down. Once he's under 15 health, he's kind of forced to play Jiraxis. And now that he saw my second Polymorph, he's happy to drop a second Mountain Giant. I'm going to see if the Kobold can charge up this Flame Cannon enough to help me kill him off. One or two wouldn't be bad, and that's it. We get to ping him away with a Flame Cannon. That Giant also goes down. And we're going to pass the turn. And we've seen both Molten Giants, I'm pretty sure, so that's 4 Giants and 2 Twilight Drakes. So now it is about time for him to start considering Jiraxis, because he's probably run out of big minions.
So many possibilities.
I wouldn't mind seeing him tap here, just to know that his card count is keeping pretty even with mine. Somehow we've managed to actually draw one more card than the Warlock in this game. I know I've used Arcane Intellect twice, but even when you're playing Handlock, you're supposed to be sort of tapping away and making sure your hand's always full. The idea is that once you've gone into Jiraxis mode, you can't draw anymore, so you don't want to be running out of cards as Jiraxis, even though your hero power is good, and you get to make those big bodies. Like, you're still, set at a finite amount of health, and you need to make sure that you can defend yourself. If they have something like the Ooze as well, and it just destroys your Jiraxis paws, it's really horrible. So here's Jiraxis, and I'd say it's going to come with the body. He's going to play the 6/6. Yep, there's the Infernal. And he's going to kill my Flamewaker. Boo. So that I can't keep doing sort of random damage. But that puts him down to 13. And we're going to be able to do a bunch of damage right here, actually. So we're going to taunt up, fireball him in the face, hit him with the Kobold, and that's nice and low. I'm pretty sure I have a Frostbolt left in this deck, if not 2. So let's see what happens. I've only got 5 cards left. And unless he's got something pretty big, I mean, he could probably play Shadow Flame. I don't know if he runs 2 in this deck. I run 2 Shadow Flames in my Handlock. I like to be able to just clear the board a bunch. I'm like a control player by nature. And we'll see what he's thinking about here. We definitely have the YOLO in hand, so it's not like all is lost even if he clears the board and I don't draw a Frostbolt. But he really can't afford to take any damage here. So even using his paws to clear off the slime is kind of dangerous. And he's going to do it, I think, just so he can hit me with the Infernal. Has he got Taunt? He played Big Game Hunter. Thank you. I needed you to do that, so now it is safe to play Ragnaros pretty much at any point. No, he leaves me with the win. Well, that's a shame. I would have liked to have to do it the Raggy way, but we're going to just freeze that board up, do a little bit of BM, fire the Gay Missiles. Of course, they never go where they're supposed to, and finish them off with a Kobold. That's game one for Stonerino. With my funky mage deck. And now you're going to get a little taste of your own medicine, sir.
Gul'dan versus Gul'dan. Your soul shall be mine.
Alright, mirror match with Handlock. We'll get to see who plays it. I know our cards are a little different, that's for sure. So it's not really necessarily a question of who plays it better. It's kind of like who draws better and where those different cards sort of fit into the flow of the game. But here we go. Okay, we'll play along. Softly, softly. I don't really see any point in coining that out right now. Like I said in the previous match, the point of playing Handlock is to keep your hand as full as possible at all times. So you don't really just want to be wasting the coin on the first 2-drop you draw into. And it's particularly useful if you actually have the Emperor in your hand, so you can get him out on turn 5 instead of turn 6, because you should have a nice full hand on turn 5. And getting all that value off the Emperor, getting like 9 cards discounted is really fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 9 cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we are actually going to tap into a full hand, and then now we're going to have to coin this out so we don't overdraw. But well, once again, we still got a nice full hand, and the generally the first building block of the Handlock game is getting this Ancient Watcher on the board, and that's one of your other options, is just dropping the Mountain Giant. So luckily we have an instant answer for him, and there we go. We'll pass the turn. We'll see if he's got the second Mountain Giant locked up and ready to go. Kind of makes me wish I had my coin now. He does have a Twilight Drake. Okay, so this actually isn't a bad play for me. The Twilight Drake can be Shadow Flamed, but what we're going to do is we're going to heal up and taunt these two, and then take a little damage to his face with the Big Game Hunter. So now I've got a couple of good taunts in place, and a couple of loose creatures that I can do some attacking with. Here comes the Ancient Watcher, and he's going to be Shadow Flamed. Yep. So that clears my board out once he attacks him with the Drake. Unless, no, he does not. He must have Mortal Coil in his hand, waiting to use it on the next turn. So, what is our play here? I think our play is tap. We're just not really facing any danger right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And, I mean, I wish I had Mortal Coil in my hand. In fact, let's tap and try and get Mortal Coil. That's not it. But that being the case, we're going to go ahead and throw this out and silence his Drake so that it will also die when it attacks in here, or at least I can trade with it easily. This is another reason why Hearthstone's so fun, because you can both be playing essentially the same deck, and you'll notice when people put up on the Hearthstone websites like, this is my deck, and this deck that's their deck, quote unquote, is literally 2 cards different than the standard deck, which was somebody else's deck, but that wasn't somebody else's deck because they kind of deviated it by a couple of cards. And that really is what it takes to make a deck your own, I guess, in Hearthstone. It's just deviating the standard overpowered deck by a couple of cards. But that's why things like the Mage deck, like, yeah, of course, a lot of the cards, I've probably got half the cards that are in a standard tempo Mage deck right now, and the other half are kind of things that only I would throw in, things that I've always recognized about the game that I kind of enjoyed. This actually isn't the worst spot. It looks like it's going to be hard to push through the Sludgy. We don't have any more silences right now, but what I'm going to do is just toss the Owl into it and then clear up what's on the board. Seeing as we're so close in health and I'm a little bit ahead, I don't think that's going to hurt me too much. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so we can tap for a card here. And once again, we'll be drawing into 10 cards and have a ton of options on turn 8. Would be nice to get the Emperor. What's he playing with? He's got 9 cards, see? And there's his second Ancient Watcher. which is another good Shadow Flame target if he runs 2 of them. Okay, so it's my turn to throw down some heat. You're going to see my first Mountain Giant, and you're going to see a Sludge Belcher. Now, see, he could pop the Sludge Belcher with his Ooze, and then Shadow Flame the Ancient Watcher to kind of clear the Sludge Belcher. But oh, he might have different ideas here. Okay, Big Game Hunter on that, and the Sylvanas in place makes me a little bit worried. How can we play this best so that we don't lose anything and essentially finish off his board? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to Shadow Flame the Sludgy, because the Ancient Watcher doesn't do anything anyway. And then I'm going to Shadow Bomb, Dark Bomb Sylvanas, so he can have my little Ooze. I'm not too worried about that. And I don't think he's going to find a way to kill me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the next turn, even for 15 mana. So we're going to go ahead and tap and pass turn. Okay, he's tapping again. Perhaps he has the Russian and he's getting ready to drop it. Yep, there it is. And which probably means he also has Jiraxxus in his hand ready to go. It's a tough spot for us because we also still haven't got our Emperor, and he's going to be able to dump his hand like sort of extra cheap right now. So what we're going to do, how do I want to do this? I like saving those for Giants, and I don't see a way really to get rid of the Emperor right now otherwise, so we're going to go ahead and do that. What can I tap into that kills this? Nothing really, so we'll get rid of this like that. And that heals us up a little bit. And then, because there's nothing really threatening us on the board, we're just going to go ahead and heal up some more with Earthen Ring and pass turn. So he's got his nice discounted hand now ready to go. And I feel like that is such a big tempo swing, getting the Emperor out and getting 8 cards discounted is a pretty big advantage for him right now. It's going to be hard for me to come back from it. Knowing that we've still got 3 more Giants to face, and they're all going to be coming out discounted now. So he taps again, hand is full. And he gets a huge Drake. Come on, Owl. Where's my other Owl? And we now have a bigger taunt that doesn't really threaten, and look at that, perfect timing. Ask and ye shall receive. Gonna silence that Drake and get rid of it before it becomes a problem. Draw another card. And that is a Sludge Belcher, so we're gonna drop him on the board and clear off the big taunt. Even though it can't attack, it just might eventually pose a problem. And since we look pretty safe right now, we're gonna go ahead and tap. Still no Emperor. This is frustrating. Is that a Siphon Soul or a Silence? It's the Siphon Soul, okay. Fair trade, I suppose. He gets a little health back here, and now his board is looking better than mine again. And he clears everything off, leaving me with no answers right now for this Mountain Giant, and that could pose a problem because I need to get him to not hit me. Okay, so obviously I'm seeing we can play this here and taunt it up. That's 6 mana. What can I do with the other 4 mana? That's the question. And if I do it the other way, that's 8 mana. Then there's no real point in playing it that way. I just don't see myself making a big enough taunt otherwise. And I don't remember if he plays 2 owls. I don't think he plays 2 owls. Now, if we go for the healing option here, we can taunt once, but the small minions are going to go straight through it, and then he's going to be able to kill me with the Molten Giant, or with the Mountain Giant, essentially. So we're going to play it this way. I'm going to play this guy, and I'm going to taunt him up. And then I'm going to go for more taunt. This is super paranoid, but it might be the best route to take here. And it has mean that I've used like a lot more cards to sort of get where I'm at. Because he's got 8 there and 8 there for 16, and I've got 7 here and 5 here for 12. Like I said earlier, I just feel like this game is sort of sliding away from us slowly. We're going to need some big value turns to come up here. And these matches are definitely lasting a little bit longer than last night when we were playing basic decks. And there is another Molten Giant. Boom. So he's going to go ahead and go that way to clear. And he's going to Dark Bomb and push through this taunt as well, and that leaves him with 2 Giants on the board. One of them taunted, the super healthy one. And see, because I haven't got my Emperor discounts yet, I have not managed to set my hand up in a way that I can effectively deal with this. So I think we're going to have to taunt again, and we're definitely going to have to heal. And that actually might be just enough for now, but this does mean that I'm running out of tauntable or taunt givers for the final Jiraxis stage of the game. And it's really going to be tough to stave off some aggression down the line. We have dealt with Sylvanas, though, haven't we, in this game already? Yes, because we gave him that ooze. Okay. So getting rid of these giants will pretty much finish off the early game heavy aggression. And early game in a Handlock versus Handlock game is something like turn 15 still. Because we are generally going to exhaust our decks. And that is what we're doing right now. Wow, so we get to silence 1 taunt. I'm really worried about the follow-up play here. Okay, so he hits with that giant, and he's going face with that one. And we're back down to 17 health, so that negates the anti-killbot play I made just now. And now his board is thoroughly taunted. But luckily, I was actually going to play the Emperor, and I thought I was going to have to sacrifice him, but this is not the case. So we're just going to hit this little giant here for 2, and then we get to Shadow Flame our heal bot, and that gets rid of everything but the Sludge Belcher, which I'm happy to have that one-on-one right now. And we finally get a discount on 3 stupid cards. Okay. It's nice that being able to Shadow Flame off 2 giants, though, without sacrificing a giant yourself. And I was actually thinking I was going to have to play Emperor and just Shadow Flame him without getting his hero power at the end, his discount. I can't see him wanting to trade with the Emperor here, unless he's going to back it up with a Dark Bomb. But like I said in the previous turn, I think the beauty of the situation we're in, if there's any sort of positiveness to come out of it right now, is that we have seen the majority of the heat that this deck brings before he gets into the Jiraxis phase. So, and there is Jiraxis, and he's going to also play a Dread Infernal, which means now is he going to clear him? Is he going to take a risk and hit the Emperor here, just to make sure it's not on the board? And the question is, am I going to get lucky and pull one of my taunt givers? I am not. So what are we looking at here? We're facing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. Tapping into tough spot. I almost can't afford to. Although if I do tap, I think we can play it this way and take a risk. I think this is the only way it works. Like I said, we see 7, 10 damage. He has to find a way to do 5 more, and if he can't I mean, I'm not super confident that we're going to be able to bring this back, but we now have the biggest bodies on the board.
Truth is my shield.
Oh, a Sunwalker. That is a deviation from the normal handlock. So there you go. Look at how powerful this board is. It just looks like I'm never getting through. And even healing's not going to save me here unless I pull something like a Shadow Flame out. Have I used both of them? I need a taunt regardless. Nope. Healing won't do it. It's not enough. Puts me at 11. And we're never just stopping enough damage here. And that is one each. So now it's going to be my handlock again. Against his mage.
You asked for it.
Your soul shall be mine.
Well, that's a card I don't mind seeing, and that's another one. You know what? We're just going to get rid of that. And actually, this is looking okay. I think if we make it to the mid-game, the mage's version of the mid-game, and we're not in too much trouble, then we're going to be able to put a ton of heat on the board and make them use a lot of burn just to get rid of it. Okay, Clockwork Gnome. Looks like a mech mage. Could be Tempo Mage. Clockwork Gnome is the new popular card in Tempo Mage, or is a popular card in Tempo Mage because it gets you the spare part, which activates Flamewaker pretty well. But having seen the Mech Warper drop, then we can be pretty sure it's Mech Mage. And I'm going to have to tap once, but I cannot really afford to be tapping a lot versus this Mage because they're going to have a bunch of creatures on the board pretty quick. And I'm going to have some sort of answers, or I'm going to be screwed.
Something needs tinkering?
Yeah, I don't think I can... I don't think I can afford to take too much more damage, and tapping is going to hurt me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to have to pass the turn here. Would have been nice to have a Dark Bomb or something in my hand so I could get rid of that Mech Warper. But tapping into it wouldn't help because I wouldn't be able to play it, so there's no point in tapping and reducing my life even further. I mean, we can pretty much count on a Piloted Shredder or a Mechanical Yeti here. Instead he draws. So I wonder if he's going to find, yeah, a Noyatron in the draw. And now it is already looking pretty bad. So, luckily, I mean, I'm sure well, maybe Mech Mage doesn't run Polymorph, but we're going to taunt up this Giant and see if that will slow him down a little bit. And now he's still got Mech Warper, so he can still just dump a couple of creatures here. He could do regularly a 4 mana and a 3 mana would now be a 3 mana and a 2 mana. So I mean he could play Piloted Shredder and Harvest Golem if he had, or Piloted Shredder and Spider Tank. Well, there's a Harvest Golem. And the rest of it's going to be focused on the Giant, it looks like. That's about what we wanted from it. That works for me. Okay, so now we're going to just get rid of this Noyatron. And I think it's a perfectly fine time to heal back up. And perhaps we can draw into a Sludge Belcher fairly soon. Yeah, and it looks like this game is actually going to go pretty long between the two of us. This has been a pretty long match so far. Shall we do it this way? I think this is the answer, and we're going to just get rid of that. Okay, so getting the Emperor out in a timely manner is definitely going to be beneficial to us here. It doesn't mean that we're going to win, but it certainly helps my hand out an awful lot. And obviously the card came into the game at the same time for everybody, but just thinking about how slow Handlock would have played before, because I didn't actually build my Handlock hand until after the Blackrock Mountain expansion, so I just can't imagine doing it without the Emperor. I mean, there's games like we had in the last one where we just never really get there and never draw into him, but he really does accelerate the hand. Okay, so that's 2 and 3 is 5, and that doesn't really give me much more. So I'll just put some more threats on the board. Hopefully it hits the Mechanical Yeti. I don't think I'm going to get polymorphed here, so it's going to be tough for him to answer unless he wants to just throw a fireball at it and run that little Harvest Golem into it. Instead he's going to build a board, and this is actually really good. But he doesn't decide to put anything else down, which makes me sad. And there's our Sludge Belcher. He's going up. We're going to heal a little bit, and I also don't know if Mech Mage runs more than one Flame Strike, even if he does run a Flame Strike, so we're going to use that spare part and get a couple of taunts up, try and keep Ragnaros fairly active, and that's absolutely the worst target he could have hit, so there's some RNG for you in your face. I really would prefer if he would just hit the Mage in the face so we can start wearing her down, and there is a Flame Strike. With a ping to finish off the Sludge Belcher. I think he's trying to figure out if there's a way he can get through it to kill Ragnaros. And I believe there is. But now he's doing it the way that's going to require him to sacrifice 2 of his creatures. And I think he's happy to do that. If he doesn't, no, he's going to do it. And that's okay, just like the Mountain Giant. Ragnaros, the real art in his work there was just eating up an awful lot of possible damage. He certainly didn't limit it much for me. I'm going to toss this Sludgy out now as well, and pass turn. So this is a totally different feel of this game. Like, I know I'm playing Mech Mage, but at the same time I don't feel, even though the health disparity is much larger, that I'm really as far behind as I was in the Handlock matchup where he had managed to get the Emperor out early and really get a lot out of it. So here's freezing Sludge Belcher, and he's going to ping him. I think setting him up for a trade with the Tinkertown Technician. We're going to tap, see what we get. I don't mind that at all. And we're going to play this guy, since he's sitting quite happily behind a taunt. And I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be saving these guys for, how necessary it is. I'm thinking, no, I think we're just going to save it and go ahead and pass here. So what is he thinking about now? We've seen a second Mech Warper, we've seen a couple of Harvest Golems, and I think we're starting to stretch his deck out a bit. I'm waiting for Archmage Antonidas. I'm imagining that he's probably going to have it. And there's a second Emergency Coolant, and that's going to hold my Sludge Belcher up for a minute here. Or not my Sludge Belcher, my Mountain Giant. My Molten Giant? One of the Giants. And that's annoying. That's why it's the Annoyatron. But I've got some moves of my own. So we're going to go ahead and heal up. And then we're going to taunt up. And I think we can even afford to tap here. We're going to make these guys nice and strong with a Defender of Argus. And that was one of the first cards I actually crafted in the game. I saw Defender of Argus and I thought, man, I need that card. And I made 2 of them. I don't know how... Oh, he has 2 Flame Strikes, you dirty bugger. And, yeah, I thought I needed 2 of them. But it turned out that they ended up sitting kind of dead in my collection for a long time once I figured out a couple other decks I wanted to work with. I cannot believe he has 2 Flame Strikes. I mean, yeah, I think I run 2 Flame Strikes in most of my mage decks, but most traditional mage decks that are sort of researched and used on the ladder and whatnot, they are definitely 1 Flame Strike mage decks. So look at how mean he's being right here, just trying to do all this damage to me. I don't appreciate it. Not one bit. Question is does he have Pyroblast in his hand? Is that what he's kind of like working me down towards? So we do need to use this owl now. And then we need to Shadow Flame this owl. That's painful. And then we need to punch him. And we need to make him use one of those fireballs he's saving for my face. And since the game's at the stage where it's at, I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. So we have extra taunt and extra health. And like I said, try and work one of those fireballs out on that Molten Giant. I'm fairly certain he doesn't have Polymorph in this deck. There's a Sludge Belcher. And an Explosive Sheep. With a Rusty Horn on it. And that. But now his hand is pretty much empty. And this is my chance to really come back. Watch this, boys. It would have been nice to use an Earthen Ring on that Molten Giant, but that's okay. So he's going to ping off my Giant on the next turn, but this is a big turnaround, a big swing for me. Getting healed back up and getting 2 really big hits from that Giant has helped. There's Spider Tank. How about more Giants? It's close. He has to either taunt up, heal up, or get rid of this Giant, or I think I can win. I'll do it. We have multiple ways, and we're going to do it the best way. Jirax's Paws. And that is Handlock. Good game, Mr. Owl. See you guys in the next match.